Thank you, everyone, for joining. Gary Schick here. I am joined by Adam Burke. Thank you for joining our monthly interactive partner forum. We appreciate you joining today, already the middle of August. Joined by the Quest team, of course, Adam Burke, who's up on the phone here, our Vice President of Sales and Channels, myself, Gary Schick. I've got other members of the team, Brian Perdue, Darcy Baker, Dave Noel, Jill Wilkins, and an extended team, and we sure appreciate you being here. Just a couple of quick notes, housekeeping wise, we are recording today's session that we'll send out afterwards. So, please feel free to forward. It'll also be posted up on our website. It is interactive, as I've shared, so you all have control of your own mute buttons, your own cameras. Join at your own risk and pleasure, and we welcome participation in the event here today. And we are going to send out a thank you for attending. We have a little e-gift card that the team will send out afterwards. From an agenda perspective, I think, Adam, that's the next slide. Oh, well, let me start before that. I switched the slides around, but first off, a little recognition to that nice looking face and the man on the right-hand side there at the top of your screen. I want to congratulate and thank Brian Perdue. We just wrapped up one of the TSD partner summits they had done at the Polaris event down in Anaheim, California. Very proud to be associated and have Brian Perdue part of our team, recipient of the National Channel Manager of the Year. It's called the Charlie Lohman Award, who was someone who won this award so many times they figured they were just going to retire his name and name the award after him. So we're super, super proud. Brian, thank you for all you do for the organization, and your contribution is incredible. And anybody wants to thank Brian afterwards, we're super, super proud to have Brian on the team. So thank you, Brian, for all you do.
Thank you, Gary.
So agenda today, lots to cover. Going to do a very, very quick Quest company overview. Really want to dive in today. A lot of questions we get working with the channel are around, hey, what are those entry points? How do we start the conversations? Technology is super, super broad and wide and deep. Customer need all sorts of things. A lot of customers say, hey, where do I start? So want to cover a lot of that today, how we get started at Quest and how we're organized. Adam's going to cover that. Then we have some Q&A and some wrap up moving forward. Next slide, Adams. So going to keep it to one slide this time. So build that one out, Adam. So for those of you new to Quest, just as you can see here on the slide, we are QuestSYS.com. There are a few companies presently and formerly known as Quest out there. We are the company headquartered up in Northern California, founded in 1982. Real simple go-to-market strategy has been and remains, how can we help our customers? So we're not a company that builds, widgets or products or, off-the-shelf software and whatnot. There's tons and tons of great products out there. There's lots of great solutions and technologies and services and whatnot. We really, really have focused in on, really understanding what customers are needing to fill gaps with what they do internally, within their organization to get their outcomes accomplished. That how can you help strategy takes us down the list that you can see there on the left-hand side. Pretty evenly split amongst all the different areas there. We start off as a VAR. We still sell a lot of products, hardware, software, licensing, professional services is probably one of the big differentiators in the TSD portfolio. Really, really anchors what we do. So that, what do I buy? How do I deploy it? How do I integrate different solutions, compliance, all those different strategies really, is part of the business outcomes conversation. And candidly, where a lot of customers struggle with their internal resources, it's very, very hard to keep, retain, and hire anybody that knows everything about everything. So that's been a huge area for us. We are a managed MSP and an MSSP. Probably our core business is around that. We've been doing that for well over 20 some years. We've got global operations, data centers in the US, over in the APAC, as well as over in Europe, as well as end user help desk and managed services. Obviously, cyber is huge. Physical infrastructure, a lot to do there in the channel. Your inside outside cable plant, AV systems, access control, security, tons of things there. Communications and carrier services. a very large, long-standing practice around that, app dev, and staffing and technical resources. So pretty full cadre of services. We get the call, a lot of times if you need, multiple suppliers or someone that can pull all that together, has really been the anchor for us. So I will take a moment to inhale. Adam, I think that's all I wanted to cover today on the company background. Really, really excited to cover a topic that's really something that we talk about when we do our reviews and discussions up there. How do we get that conversation going? So with no further ado, Mr. Burke, I will turn it over to you, and thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Gary. And thanks everyone for hopping on. As Gary was mentioning, kind of in the corporate overview there and what we do a lot of different things. And we cross into a lot of different service pillars and focus areas within our partners and TSD, back offices and their tools and everything like that. And just yesterday, I was sharing with one of our national channel managers asking, hey, where does this specific, audio visual coordination, fall into? How is it recognized? How is the compensation working out for the end users? Do they know that the agent of record is getting tied into this large professional services opportunity, and how is that being tracked? So would love to say we fit cleanly into each one of those boxes within the channel. We don't. But we do help tie a lot of complex situations together for folks. And how we start is typically bundling in a couple different areas, primarily around an outcome. So we love to have that conversation. We love to understand what the client is trying to do, what's relevant to the partner, and tying that together through our building block approach. And you guys have probably heard this story a million times before, so we're gonna cut right through that. If you have any specific questions around our building blocks, our strategies, or anything like that, we're going to talk a little bit about capability and capability reviews later. But you're on the call for the partner forum. Your partners, a little bit about Quest. So let's jump into how do we actually start and what's a good place for you guys as far as getting engaged. Something, if you're not receiving this, would love to make sure that you all have access to this. We send out every month quick Quest updates around areas that we're promoting to our joint customers, right? So you bring us into an opportunity, we work together, we are default on helping to grow that account with you. About last time we audited our residual payments to all the TSDs, about 64% of our payments came from the second and third opportunities within an account. So kind of that cross sell and that upsell. Some of the things that we try to promote are what we call catalyst conversations. So one example of a great catalyst conversation is something we're talking around here. It's coming up in September. Every single one of your customers who's dealing with Microsoft 365, anyone who has Microsoft, and Microsoft controls about 80% of this world from an IT standpoint. So I bet a good amount of money that a lot of your clients are having to deal with this. Multi-factor authentication policies and the authentication aspect of it is being now enforced for end users. And that's both for end user accounts and for service accounts, which means any automation in the Microsoft world is being the multi-factor authentication of those APIs and those systems talking to each other is going to be enforced. So we've put together some simple messaging that we included in our quick Quest updates this last month around positioning that conversation with your customers. It's something everybody's dealing with. And it's a very, very simple way to reach out and say, hey, this is about to happen to you. Do you have it squared away? Are you prepared for it? Or would you like to talk to some experts that we can bring in to help have that discussion with you? That's a very, very simple engagement, and very more often than not, clients are very, very receptive to having that conversation. Another good starting point is what we call our technical on-call support. Quest's ideal customer profile in the managed services arena. I know in the channel it's really important to understand as a supplier. When you're looking at a supplier, where are these guys relevant, right? What's their sweet spot? Okay, we're a middle market system integrator, and that means between, so sometimes as low as 50, but for the most part, 100 users to about 2,000 users. We do very, very well in that middle market. We have enterprise accounts and we have SMB accounts that can afford to engage, but we typically don't go below $1,000 a month MRR. Okay. And sometimes that doesn't fit for SMB, for managed service providers. But more often than not, when the clients get on the phone with us and want to talk around technical on-call support, very rarely does the middle market have this figured out. So technical on-call support is a service that is a very, very easy way for your clients to augment their IT teams with additional resources that they can't afford to hire on their own. So think of it as like Uber for engineering. I need this person at this location at this time, and they have a service manager with Quest who they can coordinate that resource at that location or remotely at that scheduled hour to help with everything from physical installation of an AP or wiring, all the way to advanced configuration, firmware updates, cybersecurity controls, all sorts of things. Everything across that OSI model stack that was on Gary's slide or on all the things we do. Technical on-call support gives clients access to every engineer and resource that we have to schedule at their availability when needed for specific projects. It's a game changer. I'd say we have about an 8 out of 10 close ratio. We start with $5,000 or a pay-as-you-go model. It's a no-brainer for the middle market. Very, very easy way to get involved in professional services for your clients. We do have some specific Catalyst engagements that we promoted last month as well. So things around like helping organizations protect their phone numbers from spoofing and from getting classified as, potential spam. I don't know about you guys. I use a smartphone, and more often than not, I'm seeing potential spam or potential, a potential like solicitation email or notifications on my phone from like, automatic dialers and things like that. And that can really impact your clients. So we have a way, we've developed a practice. We know what's needed in order to make sure that your clients and scammers don't get mixed up in the same model and secure their phone numbers. So also a good Catalyst conversation folks are dealing with. We have some other conversations of the month that we promote out there. One is around a wireless review, and then also our physical security practice. So we put these out in the Quick Quest updates. These are very, very simple lists of things that we're evangelizing out there. It's communications directly to the end customer. You can use them. You can repurpose them. You can take the success stories every single month. This is fantastic content that our marketing team puts together for you every single month. So, and it ties into our resources, ties into our blogs, our podcasts, our conversation starters. And you can schedule a discussion with your client, with the channel team, directly from the Quick Quest update. So if you're not receiving the Quick Quest update, just as a summary here, please make sure you're reaching out to your channel team, whoever is supporting you. If it's Brian, if it's Ryan, if it's Gary, if it's myself, anyone, partners@questsys.com will make sure you guys get tied into this. It's a fantastic resource for you and your team if you need anything there. So
yeah, hey Adam, just want to add to that. So super important and part of our strategy in that dark box there, it says end customer communication. When you register an opportunity with Quest, it not only collects your information, but also the end customer's information. Adam shared that we are default on to nurture customers. So irrespective of, we win an opportunity, we withdraw from an opportunity, whatever that situation is, we do send information to them and are drip nurturing about all the things that we can do. That's what's on the list on the left there. They're generally very short and they're not salesy emails on that side. If you have a customer that you don't want to have received that. We have a real simple on-off switch we can mark as do not solicit to that customer. But once you have these registered with Quest, you are assigned as the partner of record, so that as anything bubbles up downstream, you get recognized for that from a compensation perspective. And that's the big number that Adam was talking about, from the 60+% of opportunities that are Quest generated. Many of them come from, maybe not that initial touch point, but downstream is where those come from. So I just want to call out, we want to share with you what we're sending. We have the details of that if you'd like to do that. I don't know if we have the partner marketing playbooks in here, but there is outreach. If you want to go deeper on that, we'll cover that. So thanks, Adam. I just wanted to chime in on that.
No, great call out. And also something that is really important. And sometimes folks say, hey, do not solicit, do not reach out, all that kind of stuff. That's totally fine. Totally respect that. These security advisory alerts are also part of that messaging to end users. So these, like this Microsoft direct send, we saw multiple end customers get impacted by this direct send security vulnerability. We send these out as a quick notice from our security operations center saying, hey, this is a threat. This is the way we detected it. This is the way you can remediate it. If you need help, please let us know. And that's basically it. And they're very, very well received. And you as partners can also take this, especially if you're trying to position yourself moving into that cybersecurity space, resend these, copy and paste them, repurpose them, whatever you want to do it. But just let people know, if you want to be on this list, you want to get these security advisories as well. These are all fantastic engagement opportunities for your end users. So, and then, yeah, if you want to turn it off, just tell us to turn it off, and it's a simple off button. So, one of the best areas to start as far as working together, or if we get to a conversation, or if you have the ability to set up a meeting with a client, are our capability reviews. Now, we do these for both parties. We do these with you and your end user to go through understanding their current business strategy from a technology standpoint, what's important to them, and then what building blocks Quest has that could address those needs, right? And non-vendor specific. Obviously, it's a Quest capability review, so all the different vendors and sources and assets that we have in our kit bag, being around for 45 years, all of our engineering, all those different types of engagement models we can put together and customize. We walk through stories. We tell stories about bundling wireless hardware, software, cabling, and managed service components with help desk for end users, and bundling it all into a cost per door model. We talk about specifically doing security engagements or incident response. And we tell stories with you and your customer around relevant examples that address the business needs that maybe they shared during that 35 to 45 minute conversation. It's not a sales pitch. It's basically what's important to them. What are they working on? And then, hey, these are the building blocks you have access to as a partner and as a customer of Quest. A lot of flexibility, a lot of angles that they can go there. Now, we're also you'll have, I think you see Jill and Brian and the team on here. We also are reaching out to you guys, to our partner base, and saying, hey, these are the different service offerings, these are different capabilities that you have available to you as a partner of Quest. Plug us in to augment what you're doing today, and capture more of your customers' spend and help them achieve outcomes that maybe you weren't involved in previously, whether it's cybersecurity or physical infrastructure or application development, or cybersecurity services or emergency support or on-site support. Everything Quest does, and this is important because I've going to some of these national events with the TSDs, you learn things about what TAs are dealing with and your advisors are dealing with. Everything Quest does is a commissionable service: professional services, structured cabling, managed services, migration services, technical on-call support. Everything we do helps generate revenue for you as the partner. And we know that I've come to find out, I kind of had to ask the question 3 or 4 times, but yeah, some transition services, some professional services, some integration work, I guess, in the channel is not tied to the TA. So just to clarify, every building block that you see within Quest is. So we love to go through those with you. We'll talk a little bit about some incentives we put together for these as well for you guys for doing this and working together with your end user. Again, this is one that's probably been beaten to death in the channel. Broadcom has really disrupted their partner ecosystem. They removed hundreds of managed service providers and thousands of resellers from this world. We're very involved in this as a MSP and as a reseller with VMware for 15 plus years. We have that capability as a reseller and as an authorized reseller. We can help go through that with you guys. We can help them understand issues with Broadcom as an example, but some other good door openers, right? That if you want content on this, we send it out every week on what we're communicating. The multi-factor authentication that we talked about, database health checks, helping organizations prepare for using artificial intelligence and starting with the data, fantastic place to start. Active Directory, right? People are moving to Entra ID in Azure-based environments. There was a recent vulnerability in the hybrid AD environment world for Microsoft. Active Directory is still something a lot of people struggle with. Now, a lot of partners will come to us around things like, hey, do you guys help with privilege access management or data loss prevention or these are more advanced cybersecurity practices. Almost all of those advanced cybersecurity practices back up to this. A lot of people don't get Active Directory right. So it's a fantastic way to help move into those more advanced services, but you got to get the basics right. So basics around, and this is where Quest we really like to focus because the new sexy hotness out there with, advanced cybersecurity, very crowded space. A lot of money and dollars and people are fighting for attention in that world. But a lot of your clients are still struggling with the basics and they're having a tough time managing those advanced services that are built upon the basics. So Active Directory, database, those types of things are a real struggle. So you'll notice that a lot of our conversation starters go towards the basics that end up supporting the advanced services, right? But you got to kind of build on a solid framework there. So a lot of our workshops are very similar. These are workshops that you as a partner have the ability to position and schedule with your clients across all of our different areas of services, really. So a cybersecurity workshop is going to focus primarily on their posture, what they're doing right now, and what we've seen in the marketplace as far as threats and how they can address that. This cybersecurity workshops can lead to things like penetration tests, vulnerability scanning, ongoing monitoring and alerting, security security operations center as a service, advanced things like SIM and MDR and XDR services, things like that. It all starts with a conversation. And then if they're willing to have a tabletop and spend about 4 hours with our team, we'll conduct a full workshop with them. Migration workshop, similar to the cybersecurity workshop, but it's going to focus on moving from point A to point B or repatriating some of their applications. This was a big topic of discussion over the last 6 months. Organizations are pulling out key applications from the cloud. It was, hey, let's move to Azure, let's move to AWS, let's get everything up in blob storage. We're seeing, like we just had an opportunity yesterday, a client is moving about 3 petabytes of data out of AWS because they don't use it very often, but they want to train their own AI model on it. So we're helping a client move and build a private cloud instance with 3 petabytes of data and documenting that whole transition for them. So These are all areas where you can kind of move from step one is the conversation. Let's talk about your physical security. Let's talk about wireless. Let's talk about your audio visual. Let's see if you need some help around risk management or DR. Start with a simple conversation. And if it becomes something they want to move on to, we move into the workshop, which is more of an engagement, longer term strategy, tabletop level discussion. So Gary, do you have some thoughts there?
Any animate? Yeah, and timing is important here. So certainly you can lead with these workshops to get a conversation going. In parallel with that, oftentimes our engagement starts with a transaction. A customer's, wanting to do something in security or wanting to do something in wireless. Hey, can you give me a quote on this or that? So obviously the money is in the transaction, and you can address those alternatively and complementary to that is you can step back a little bit and say, hey, let's get into that outcome conversation. What's the bigger picture? What's part of the project? What's the whole thing there that can significantly grow the transaction conversation that you're in? So, just being tuned into that this is available as an option can really, enhance that conversation and really that value that is perceived to the customer from what you're doing. It oftentimes starts with a, hey, I need a quote for this or that, but just be tuned into the fact that there may be other things that are not part of that transaction that you can capture.
Yeah, great point. This is an option. It's not, and we've received that feedback before from partners like, oh, I thought we had to start with a workshop in order to do something. Not true. This is in your kit bag as a move you can make either mid-transaction, post-transaction, or if they're willing to have a more in-depth discussion around what they're trying to do, that's great. Hey, if they just want to buy 3 petabytes of storage and, we can help them and you have the relationship, we'll help them with the 3 petabytes of storage or 3 terabytes, whatever it is, backups, no problem. But if they want to have a little bit more of a discussion around a certain application that is supporting, or maybe a database assessment or something like that's struggling to replicate from point A to point B, mainly want you as our partners to know you have this available to pivot to and work with your channel team to schedule. So a lot of options to help you kind of grow that footprint at some point during that transaction. One of the things that we're doing right now from a paid engagement standpoint, where we're coordinating, working with clients to help them on their path. This is something we've been doing a lot of recently. Again, it's around the fundamentals of what clients are trying to figure out when they talk about AI. Quest has been working with artificial intelligence and machine learning and anomaly detection for a long time. Artificial intelligence has definitely caught the attention of folks and caught the attention of people spending money on data centers and power and GPUs and all that good stuff. We are tending to go back to the basics with folks and scheduling out, hey, what's the use case that's actually going to move the needle for this client, right? Here are some trends we're seeing, but what can this client, whether they're in manufacturing or in the legal profession or in the technology or software development teams, how are they going to take advantage of AI assets? We're going to help them basically document where they can either cut costs and push that money directly to the bottom line, or if they can improve efficiency of their existing workforce and get more out of their current spend. What is that business opportunity that this is presenting for them? And then we'll go through kind of that general readiness, and we help them understand probably one of the biggest areas we focus on is this bullet point right here, AI security and governance. When you're about to release Copilot into your Microsoft environment, how is your tenant and how is your Active Directory? Again, back to the basics. How are your policies written to govern that artificial intelligence agent the same way you would govern a new hire, the same way you would govern a new employee? What access, what policies, what layers do you have in your environment that protect your HR, your your proprietary information, your proprietary data from that basically autonomous agent that's, just going to run a query, right? You're just going to ask it a question. It's going to go off and running. It's going to go look everywhere unless you build out some policies that help basically keep it on the rails. We document those recommendations and we provide an executive level summary to the leadership of the organization around areas that they can focus on and improve. Typically, we're seeing these assessments start around $7,000. We've done some that are much larger, much more advanced. But a great conversation starter around AI. A lot of people want to talk about it. If they'd like to move down the path, the workshop is a good place to start. This one is fun as far as a conversation starter. And this is something that I think ties really well into the trusted advisor landscape. And it's technology expense management. It's the idea, a similar idea that we're all very, very familiar with around auditing circuits and auditing. Hey, is this still plugged in? Is these POTS lines, are these, this old DSL, whatever the subscription is with AT&T, is it still using? Is it still there? That same discipline needs to be applied to licensing, applied to what they're paying in subscriptions and what they're paying for in assets that they own in the software and licensing worlds. So basically the ability to optimize capabilities, like some Microsoft licenses, E3s, E5s, have different access to services that other, diverse, proof points of the world and, other platforms out there that are either security focused or, workforce focused or, CRM assets. They're all kind of tied together and people are not necessarily aware of all the overlap that exists in their environment. So what we do is we come in and we help give them a snapshot of what their current licensing challenges may be. It could just be as simple as trying to navigate the Broadcom renewal now that Broadcom owns VMware, right? It could be helping them understand their Azure spend versus their on-premise cloud environment and how they're going to deal with that. It could be the circuits that connect their private data center to their AWS instance and how they can optimize those types of connections through like a Megapath or something like that. Megaport, excuse me, not Megapath. Those types of things. So a lot of different options, a lot of different maintenance conversations. This is not an easy thing for folks to manage. We build this for them, we summarize it, and then we provide recommendations and a roadmap to help them with ongoing support options. And people ask like, well, Quest, why would we get you guys involved in this? We're, again, back to what Gary mentioned earlier, the majority of kind of what we do is managed services and managed cybersecurity services. Beyond outside of labor, my biggest cost inputs to our business model and whether we're profitable and sticking around or not is licensing expenses. So, there's a saying in the Army, beware of a guy, beware of the old man in a job that kills people young. We've been around 42 years, not saying we know it all, but we've been through multiple different licensing shenanigans from vendors and dealt with them and know how to address them, know how to audit our spend, know how to stay profitable as a technology company and as a service provider. So similar to like the legal field, you can represent yourself. If you've never been on trial for murder, good luck. Or, a lot of people, tend to hire very, very capable lawyers who have been through the legal scenarios multiple times. Quest is a very, very experienced managed service provider who's dealt with vendors and licensing schemes and changes in contracts and SLAs and terms multiple times. We've seen the games. We understand what people are doing. We understand the market. We understand Wall Street. We understand how people are the movement from capital expenditures to gross profit and gross margin to transitioning to SaaS spend and all that kind of stuff. You know, again, we don't know it all, but we've survived and grown profitably very, very well over 42 years. And when people ask us, why would we bring you in for this? We deal with this on a daily basis. So great way to help folks out there. Sorry, I didn't know. Was there a question on that, or did anyone have a question on that one? I thought I heard something. Okay. The cybersecurity checkups are also a very, very relevant way to engage. If you need any help positioning these or talking through these, would love to hop on a quick capability review with you. These are the 7 areas where we see folks get compromised. We run IR@questsys.com is a 24/7 service. If you are a customer, even if you're not a Quest customer, or if your client is not an existing customer and they need emergency support, then go to IR@questsys.com, call our 800 number. You can call someone on the channel team, whatever you need to do to get in contact with us. We'll get our IR team in contact with them, typically within 15 to 30 minutes, and we can stand up services very, very quickly. Very unique service offering and ability to react. We're built for that. But these are the 7 areas that if your client wants to be proactive and not have to hit the big red button, these are areas where we tend to address needs proactively. These are the 7 areas where people get in trouble. They don't have their email security figured out. They're falling behind on their patch management. Their endpoints, they're using like legacy systems, or they don't have their policies created maybe as strongly as they could. Their backups are operational, but they haven't checked them. They don't know if they have good backups. Maybe they don't have an immutable copy. So the bad actors go after their backups and hold them for ransom. Their VPN and their multi-factor authentication is not dialed in, or they don't necessarily know exactly how everybody's touching their core applications. DNS protection and UNS filtering, where they're allowing their people to go online. And then again, their edge security, their firewalls. These are the areas where people get breached. These are the layers of security that Quest helps manage, support, and operate. And these are the areas where typically bad actors are going to exploit as easy as possible. Email, by far and away, the highest threat vector. It's people, it's spoofing, it's phishing, it's specific user information phishing. Email security is the biggest one. But after they breach email, how bad it hurts is typically based on some of these other layers here. Because if you got good endpoint protection and some knucklehead clicks the link, when it says, hey, I'm, a Nigerian prince and I have a couple $1 million worth of bullion for you, and they click the link or whatever dumb thing they fall for, and you have good endpoint protection, okay, that person's machine gets compromised, but it gets detected and shut down. If you don't, then it keeps going through the layers and you get further and further trouble. So what we're trying to do from a proactive standpoint is $750 per line item. Okay, $750. David, yeah, the name of the offering is Incident Response. It's IR@questsys.com. And if you go to our website, there's a big red button that says Under Attack that you can call the 800 number or IR@questsys.com. But great question there. But again, back to the cybersecurity checkups. These are the 7 vectors that you get in trouble, and we charge $750 per line item to help document, review, and make recommendations on improvement. Okay, so it's $775 per. We do a 3 times bundle of $2,100, and we'll do all 7 of them at $4,500. Okay, this is not a big cost. What we're from a cybersecurity standpoint, we're bundling these into all of our managed services accounts as a mandatory thing that the client basically has to say, I don't want you to do this. This is huge. It's a no-brainer for $4,500 to have an engineer come and look at all these things with them specifically and give recommendations on how they can improve. So we've really believe in the cybersecurity checkups. It's not a very big cost impact to the end user. And we're promoting it with you as partner as well. So you'll see here, there's some spiffs associated with it. $500, plus any account growth that comes out of it, in addition to normal compensation there. So Gary, yeah, you had something?
And just to add to that, so again, timing here. So you can lead with these, the checkups, or more often than not, when you're out having a security conversation, hey, do you want to buy this MFA or this endpoint protection unit? Well, I already have that. The next question is, well, how do you know it's working? How do you know it's configured properly? Have you checked it recently? So there's a super huge opportunity to engage, even if a customer has things. This is what breaks down. There are humans involved touching things all the time. There are patches coming out all the time. There's constantly changes to the environment, and we get a lot of opportunity from people who spent a ton of money on solutions that just are not maintained. And it's a very super low cost way to check it. And we get a lot of opportunity coming out of it. It's not the $700 you're going to retire on. It's the other side of that. So again, just knowing where to position this is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it a little bit earlier. This is kind of the specifics around, and maybe David, maybe this was your question. Sorry if maybe I mixed it up with instant response, but technical on-call support, we call it TOCS. This is the 24/7 ability for clients to basically the Uber for engineering, open up a support request. They can either set up a retainer, $5,000 minimum, or we can set up a direct payment option for them to pay as they go. Some clients like to have budgeted dollars. Some clients like to just pay as they go. These are the rates across the skill sets. This is how they coordinate it. They open up a ticket, or they call in and schedule a resource. So as an example, this can be used for general IT services across the board. This can be used specifically. We have some clients who just want to use us for advanced Microsoft services or advanced networking services with their SD-WAN and their next generation firewall configuration or whatever it is. Some clients say, no, I just, I have two network admins and a system admin and a DBA, and, the DBA is going on maternity leave, or the sysadmin is, moving on to a new role, but they can't hire a new person. This is a fantastic offering, technical on-call support, that they could use there. So kind of jumping right along. So real quick, as an example on the building block strategy, this is a real case study, partner account, started in 2022. Started out with just firewall support. I love this case study because it kind of crosses almost all of our different building blocks, including product. And also I love it because there are over 10,000 accounts of this size in the United States, that spend this type of money on just IT services, for the things that we're looking at here. So there's about a 200 technology user organization. They are specifically in senior living and those types of services in assisted living communities. And they had about $32 million in annual revenue before we got involved. So, good sized company, not a Fortune 500 brand name or anything like that anyone would know, but there are 10,000 of these accounts around the United States. So the hunting field is wide open for helping folks bundle these services together. We started out with firewall support, stayed engaged. They needed a help desk. They lost their help desk person. So we bundled in help desk services for the 200 users. As we stayed engaged with the account, they kept adding additional services because they figured out pretty quickly that there was a security incident that they needed to stand up additional services and add additional things. Their backups, they figured out at month 8, after a couple of conversations with our team, they weren't really managing those backups. They weren't really understanding if those jobs had completed successfully. So as we stayed engaged, as the partner stayed engaged, as we went through different capability reviews with them and with our partner, we kind of just kept asking, hey, do you need some help with that? Do you need some help with that? You know, they ended up adding a retainer around Tox where they had a bucket of funds that they could, rather than hiring a new person or hiring 3 new staff, they basically bundled in $4,000 a month to their MRC and just used our people whenever they needed them. They didn't have the budget to hire a chief information security officer to help them with their audits. They were getting federal funds and they had to fill out questionnaires. They had to fill out reports. They had to go through audits and those types of things and manage the auditing process. So after a year and a half, we had built some significant trust with them, and they hired one of our virtual CISOs to help them with that audit assistance. You know, the big win came about 2 years in when we had built a great reputation with them, and we were able to bundle in their firewalls as a service. We were supporting their own firewalls. They owned them when we met them. But 2 years, they were ready to refresh those, and we delivered the whole firewall platform as a service. We acquired all the telecom assets and bundled that all together. And then 4 months after that, they had us do the same thing with their Wi-Fi. So, $32 million account, they were spending about by the 28th month of working with us and with the partner working with us, they took it, almost to $1 million a year in managed services, which is a fantastic use case story. And then all along the way, the partner was getting commissions and we were helping them with professional services, and they were buying product and licensing as well. So this is the really important one here. And this is based on the idea of acquiring, capitalizing purchases versus managed services. We basically ended up saving them about 34% of their IT spend when we audited all their accounts, what they were spending before we got involved, and what they were spending after we took over a lot of the support, maintenance, and operations. So win-win on all the cases. Win for the partner, grew an account to about $78,000 MRR. Win for Quest, obviously, we got a great customer, a great partner, and a win for the customer. They saved over about 34% year over year when compared to what they were spending in 2021. So it takes time, but you start out with 1 or 2 engagements, and there's a lot of growth that can happen. Starting out with 1 or 2 of those gateway services and those entry services we were discussing earlier. So, wanted to cover this as far as pipeline spiff. So this is something that we added last quarter, and want to make sure that you as partners are all aware of this. These are for pipeline engagements as far as net new opportunities in these 3 areas. So we talked about Cyber Defense Suite services and like our checkup programs and things like that. If your client needs help with any managed security services, whether that's patch management, EDR, SIM, hosted firewall, anything in our Cyber Defense Suite, that is a applicable spiff. $500 for getting us on the phone with that customer, with you representing Quest in that account. So if you bring Quest in as your delivery partner for that opportunity, $500 pipeline, whether we win, lose, or draw, and they don't move forward, whatever it is, it's still a pipeline opportunity. We want to get engaged in those conversations. Same with application development and Quest risk management. So application development would be something like a database assessment. Hey, they need help with SharePoint migration. They're moving from a legacy system to a new CRM. Brian, Gary, and Ryan, we have a great little summary of all the different ERP systems and CRMs that we have capabilities around. So if your clients are having an ERP, CRM, or like a workforce management or any of those types of applications they need help with, customer record applications, database applications, any of that stuff, also as simple as a cloud migration, that can be considered a pipeline spiff as well. And then risk management. We have a risk management practice, disaster recovery as a service, helping organizations if your clients are struggling with, the cybersecurity maturity and model certification, CMMC, low, medium, or high. That's getting pushed down from the feds, and they need help with compliance. Bring us in as your partner. Need you to be representing Quest as your partner. So that is a contingency here. So if you want to play hey, I'm bringing in 3 or 4 or 5 partners, that's cool. Love to work with you on that. Wouldn't be SPIF eligible, but if you bring us in as your partner that said, hey, Quest can help you guys with this challenge, $500 SPIF from a pipeline perspective. Also, we got a new logo SPIF. So you bring in a new logo, $500. And then this one is a no-brainer. This is one that I got I don't know, I got to figure out a LinkedIn blast or something like this. But we have one partner I was just talking to a couple of weeks ago that maybe outsourced some of their business development a capability review. We'll pay $250 for every capability review that you bring our team into with your end customer. So $250 paid directly to you as the partner for any capability review that you bring us into with an end customer. And we have a very, very high success rate of converting those into additional services that are tagged to you as the customer. So fantastic opportunity. If they're open to it, they're wanting to talk about any services that we have, or just, hey, let's just, these Quest guys, they kind of approach the market a little bit different. They do on-prem, they do managed services. They have a lot of different offerings that they can help you guys with and a lot of flexibility. That's a great one too. So last one, and I know I'd love to have some questions. I apologize, I've been talking way too long. We have turnkey marketing programs, and our playbooks are fantastic. These, if you can, we'll send this out, this link right here. This will take you to a playbook and a turnkey marketing assets that you can use to develop, manage, and promote any service offering that we talked about today, and all of Quest, basically all of our wireless, application development, cyber defense suite. All of these playbooks here are available to you. And these aren't like, 3-pager, type of playbooks. These go through objections. These go through sample notifications, sample messages for LinkedIn. All of our assets are available to you that you can use, rebrand, and push out to market to promote these. These are fantastic assets. I can't speak highly enough about the turnkey marketing and the playbooks program. Jill and Darcy and our team are reaching out to you guys to promote these. They're awesome. So if you're looking for a easy button to start messaging these services and start communicating them and start developing business with these, fantastic offering.
Hey, Adam, can I jump in with a question from Jim? I know we've got a few minutes left here.
Yeah, please.
Jim is curious to hear more about the UC and contact center offerings we have, which providers we work with, and do we have anybody certified for implementation for said providers? And then also kind of a follow-up question to that. Do we work only within customers or also service providers such as UC, contact center companies, AI providers for data center solutions, connectivity, and security?
Like, do we work, what does that mean? Do we work within service providers?
Do you work primarily with end user customers, like the mid-market customers, or do you actually work with, some of the service providers that would be the cloud-based solutions provider that has massive co-location, data center applications, lots of connectivity needs globally? They have their own support department, but would you augment their customer support or I know you would do their internal IT support, but I'm more interested in, are you really just focused on end user customers, or would you actually support some of the cloud-based service providers? For example, RingCentral, as just to throw a name out there.
Yeah. No, great question. So I'd say the majority of our business is end users. We have worked on some outsourcing and some out-tasking for service providers. It's usually around a specific offering around, hey, I need 24/7 eyes on glass on this operational unit. So we'll build out like a NOC team for that specific client. So, but about 80% of our business is primarily around what you would classify as the end user. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Jim, I think too, we are a delivery partner. So for some of the carriers, for example, so they go win an award to go, hey, I'm going to build the 5G network. I didn't pursue that as a sales opportunity, but I'm a delivery partner to do the work, to build out the towers, the fiber. We have some very large, the big five groups up there. They have the big managed services for very large cities, and hey, we won. And they need somebody to actually do the data center, pull things together. So I'm the subcontractor in that. So the end customer may be their customer, but we do have, situationally we do some very, very large projects as subcontractors, if that's what you're asking as well.
Okay. So like if you won 1,000 convenience stores, you would be the feet on the street to go rip out the old equipment, put in the new equipment, and test and all that good stuff. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Right. I probably wouldn't pursue that and chase that as a sales opportunity, but I'm, hey, when someone wins that, okay, who's going to do that? That's where we help out a lot there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good question about FedRAMP and state ramp. Like you mentioned somewhere in the chat, there was a mention about government certification. So county government, state government, federal, any of those agencies, what's the weight in there?
Yeah, a lot in state and local. So we have our own NASPO cloud contract that we deliver. So like RingCentral, like you mentioned, is on our contract for cloud services and communications at the state level. So we have the ability to deliver services like that, as well as our own book of business. And then we are not a FedRAMP organization, but we help build organizations and take them through the PAO process. So for example, Brian and I just finished up for a partner. They had a federally FedRAMP compliant communications requirement for hosted voice. We brought in the components, we architected it, we built it, and we deliver it as a service to meet that audit requirement. But we're not, Quest in and of itself did not go through the PAO process. We're the subcontractor supporting that PAO process with the service providers supporting the feds. So capable and confident in our ability to execute there. But as a system integrator, there's so many different things that we do. We haven't gone through the FedRAMP process on any specific offering. We just help people get there if they need it.
Okay, thanks. And just a feedback, I do appreciate these workshops that you're doing as well. I've been on a couple of them and they're very good. So I appreciate you doing them.
Oh, cool. No, I appreciate that feedback, Jim. Yeah, this is our kind of our third iteration of them, and they're growing, and we're getting feedback and coaching and input from partners and trying to make each iteration better. So we got one more to go on this iteration coming up on the 20th. And all of them are recorded too, if anyone would like to take a look. So great questions. I know we're at the top of the hour. I appreciate everyone joining. We have some events coming up. We're going to be at Avant Special Forces. We just completed the Telarus Partner Summit in Anaheim, which was an awesome event. And then we're also going to be at Intelisys Channel Connect in Austin. So if any partners are there, want to come by and say hello or meet up in person, we'd love to meet in person at these events and all that good stuff. Kind of went through the questions as far as the resources. Gary, anything else you want to cover? I think we're right at the top of the hour. Again, I thank everyone very much for your time today. Anything else we're missing here as far as this? We'll send this whole deck out to you guys with all these resources. I know I love having a cheat sheet as far as different things for service offerings. So all these different data sheets and resources are here. Please take advantage of the go-to-market turnkey marketing playbooks. They're awesome. Just take a look at them and you'll see what I'm talking about if you download one or two. We're here to help you guys build that out. We want to help put those offerings together with you guys. And again, thank you very, very much for your time today.